It looked we got Squall in the house. Let's go ahead and
Oh,
put her on.
yay!
Hello.
Hey Squall, how you doing?
I'm doing alright today. How's everybody?
Doing pretty good.
Doing excellent. So I'm sorry you're having to have surgery tomorrow. I
Well, I
hope
don't
it.
know if it's tomorrow. They just called me today and told me that I'm going to be needing to have the surgery. So, um,
Oh goodness. I never like to hear that. Surgery
I know
always.
I don't
I,
either.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm sorry. Sweet Pea. Which link did you the link to what? I'm happy to drop it.
Oh, I think it might be to your channel. Maybe to your
Oh,
channel.
okay.
Also, if you guys don't mind, if you have time, mods, maybe drop Squall Tit's link too, because I know you do some coverage on Summer Wells, some gaming too, right? I seen you gaming.
Yeah, yeah. That's originally what my Discord and YouTube was for. It was like, for the kids in my family. I would do private servers, and then I went to Discord to steal game codes to, you know, make more zombies and stuff like that. And I've never used Discord for anything other than going and stealing game codes that they put out
That's
there for us to
funny.
steal. And um, I got the Amber Alert for summer, on the 16th, I believe it was. And I was actually gaming at the time that it came through. And we all looked and, like, oh, we've got a Amber Alert. I never leave the house hardly. So, I would just let, everybody else know, look, that's in Rogersville. And it was a few days after that I watched the WJHL, and the second that I heard that she was missing from Beach Creek, my world stopped.
Did you have an experience with Beach Creek, or did it just kind
N-
of give you?
nothing happened in Beach Creek, but I knew that was where Frank was born and raised.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you immediately kind of had a thing there.
Your mind went immediately to Frank Light then.
Yes,
Can
and at the time I thought he was still living in Kingsport, though. I did not know about the charges that he had gotten, because my experience was in 2013.
How far away does Frank Light live from Summer?
And really quick, I just want to point out. So what we're doing right now is this is, I guess, an alternate theory, and it would be an alternate POI, a different person of interest in the family. And since I'm really new, do you mind telling us kind of how you're doing? Who? It's Frank White, a guy named Frank White, he's a registered sex
Uh,
offender, and his
yes.
wife kind of brought him up to the limelight because she just that's just where I'm at, making sure I got it right.
Um,
Yeah. And there's
if
no hard accusations in regard to Summer whatsoever. It's just something that came
right,
up. And
Okay.
it's Frank Light, as in light bulb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yes, Frank Lott. Um,
So what happened to you in 2013, if you don't mind? If that's something you don't want to share, I totally get it. You can
um, I
say it
went.
was just a really bad experience and
It was a bad experience, and the time of my life, I did not report it. Because I thought, one of the things I thought was about his family, because his family, there's like a lot of people are scared of them. You don't go into that holler that they live in, any of them, unless you're invited. Um, they're a roughneck group. There are a lot of them in that family that are really good people.
hmm
I do want to make that clear, but the ones that are bad are bad.
and that's often the case, not saying not using a broad brush here, just so people know, we're talking about a specific individual and just,
Yes.
and isn't
This
There's a
this
whole light holler, isn't there?
yeah,
Isn't there a
there
light?
is
Yeah.
a lot holler and there's also a lot road.
Okay. Okay. So
So
if that
there's like,
gives y'all any,
Established people.
yeah, they've been there since the
oh,
1800s.
for generations.
Yeah. And what
Um,
happens is, I'm sorry, Squab,
oh,
I
you're
want to
fine.
give them some background, but what happens is usually one individual buys a large piece of property years and years, centuries ago. And then as they have children and those children have families, they'll build a house on on the property somewhere. And then it ends up, that's kind of why there's so many family ties in those hollers. But yeah, okay, go ahead, Squall. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. To start at the beginning with Frank, I met him in the late '90s, uh, at a bar in Kingsport, which is now shut down. It was called the Hog Wild Saloon. Um, when he was like probably 21 at the time, and he would come in there and get to drinking, and he would start bragging and stuff, and bragging about being from Beach Creek, because Beach Creek is a rough area and everything, just with the certain people that live there and everything. And I
Mhm.
remember one occasion, and this occasion he told me that there were like talking about caves and stuff up there where they could hide bodies and everything, and that
Oh,
they took him up there, and they put a horse in this hole. The horse was like chopped up in three pieces and shoved down in the hole. And
oh,
I
goodness.
asked him, I was like, well, why did you all chop up a horse and put it in a hole? And he was like, oh, they did it to teach me a lesson. I was
Teach
like,
them
well,
a
what?
lesson.
I was like, well, what in the world kind of lesson were you trying to learn? And he just like did this shit eating sinister grin and wiggled his eyebrows and turned around and strolled off with his beer in his hand, you
Wow.
know. And I was just like, well, that was creepy. you know.
Yeah.
I do know that during that time, like on Thursday nights, a lot of times he would babysit for women, and well, so they could go to the bar on ladies' night and stuff.
That's scary. Who would volunteer for that? I mean, honestly.
And everybody would call him Uncle Frank.
Ew.
Fast forward to 2013, we had lost touch for quite a while and reconnected on Facebook, and we had been messaging, back and forth. And, it was like close to the holiday. It was like right around Thanksgiving. And I got to put my dog out.
Okay.
No problem. And again, thank you everybody who's coming in. I see Gonzo, Cindy, True Crime Investigates coming in. Some of my favorite people. Thank you.
But I didn't live. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I thought you were putting your dog out, so I was just trying to fill in the time. You're good.
Okay. Um, it was the holidays, and I wasn't living in Tennessee at the time, but I come to Tennessee, to deliver some Christmas presents and everything early and everything. And I figured, well, it's late, and he's been wanting me to come by and catch up, so I'll stop by. And he said that I could crash because it was kind of late at night, and I still had a long ways to ride. And so I did go in with the intentions of drinking a few beers with him and everything. But before I got finished with my second beer, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember bits and pieces, just like flashes
Do you
throughout
think
the
you were
night.
do you think you were drugged?
Yes, I do.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sorry, Squall.
the
That's
next
scary.
morning, I woke up. He had me tied to his bed, and he was trying to feed me scrambled eggs off of a plate that he had. He was sitting on the side of the bed, and he was wanting me to call him Uncle Frank and pretty much beg him for a bite of food.
That
Oh my, that is a
wow.
whole other level of just strangeness and
Um, yeah. I told him, I was like, I'm not hungry. I gotta pee, I gotta get up and I gotta go pee.
Right.
And he gave me like that same grin, that he had given me, a lot of times, way back in the past when he was talking about, bragging about being from Beach Creek, that little, I
Right.
mean, if you know him, you know what kind of grin I'm talking about that he puts on his face. Well, he walked out of the room and then he came back in with a diaper and grabbed my legs and I started kicking and screaming. When I started screaming, he was like, just like, chill out, I'll let you go. I'll untie you. Just hold still. And he untied me and I went off the side of the bed onto the floor and my clothes were piled up. They wasn't like folded up neatly, but they were, just kind of stacked neatly there. And I just like grabbed them. And whenever I stood up and I was trying to push past him, because he was then standing, between the bed and the wall, I was trying to push past him and I saw a camera on a tripod at the foot of his bed. And I asked him, I was like, did you effing record me? And he was like, no, no, no. And I went running down his hallway and I went around the corner and I had to back up into the hallway a little bit because his son was sitting there eating scrambled eggs, watching TV.
What? His son was there?
Yes.
How old
Wow.
was his son?
Very, very young. I don't think he didn't look like he was old enough to be in school at that time. But,
Oh my
it
goodness.
When victims who have went through something similar as yourself, they hear you speak out and trying to do something about it, it probably helps a lot of people. And you didn't have to come up and share, so we respect you a lot and we got your back. So
you
thank
know
you.
the thing is, it's just, I had blocked it and put it out of my mind because, I was like, well, what am I going to tell the cops? I started screaming and he let me go. He untied me. I came here with the intentions to drink. And then
Right.
I was, thinking about his family and, I was scared of that.
Yep.
And then on the day that I heard Beach Creek on WJHL, where Summer was actually missing from, not Rogersville, but Beach Creek, it just, all of that came back. I hadn't thought about it for years. You know, I mean, since 2013, I had not thought about it. I had just, I talked to my best friend after that happened, and we just kind of laughed him off as being some weird, strange freak,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went on, and then it came back, and I'm just, my thing with that, if there were anybody out here, if you ever have something to happen like that, don't hide it, don't suppress it, because if it comes back out, like it has with me, and he's the neighbor of a missing child, I don't want anyone to go through the hell that my brain has put me through.
Yes. I was
Just
gonna.
all of it coming back, and it's like during the time that it happened up until before Summer went missing, I had blocked it and I was fine
Mm-hmm.
and didn't think about it, but it just, all of it came down on me at once, and I was just, I couldn't breathe. I started puking. I was shaking. I called TBI immediately. I got off the phone with him. I looked him up on Facebook and I saw that his posts had stopped in 2018, but he had a lot of religious posts where he started going to church at a place in Kingsport called Shades of Grace.
Shades of Grace.
They, um, I'm all for churches helping people that, are sinners
Yes.
in need, of turning their life around. But they cater to the drug addicts that are really, that the
Mm.
homeless drug addicts that are homeless
Mm-hmm.
because of the drugs, that will not absolutely refuse to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I see.
and there are lots of pedos in that church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Squall,
after
oh, sorry, go ahead.
after I saw that that had stopped, I looked up the registry in Kingsport and he wasn't on it. Then I looked up Bluntville thinking, well, he might be in jail, and he wasn't, registered in Bluntville. And then it was just like this big old knot came up in my throat, and I said, let's go to Rogersville. And there he was on Light Holler Road,
Wow.
on Grady Light Road, actually, is the address. And I mapped it, and it's 2.3 miles by road through the
To Summer.
woods. Through the woods, it would probably be, a lot less.
Yeah.
And the horse trails, they've got horse trails all over those mountains. And I find out later on that the night that Summer went missing, the Light family searched on horseback. They searched on horseback for Summer.
It was, oh, so it was the Light family that was on horseback. I knew somebody was on
Yes,
horseback, but I didn't know who it was.
it was the Light family that
Wow.
searched on horseback.
Squall, when I'm not speaking for you, but from my own experience, when something really traumatic happens and you kind of, you just kind of move on, and you suppress it and you just move on. And what I realized is that whenever the trigger is, when it does come back on you, it comes back on you with all the details and the feelings that went along with it that really, you don't allow yourself to think about when you're suppressing it. And
Hmm.
so I don't know if it was like that for you, but I can't imagine having gone through what you went through and then having this realization with Summer and the Beach Creek area, and having to deal with your own emotional stuff related to that and your past trauma. And then add on top of that, when you speak your truth, you've come under a lot of attack on social media. And
Oh, yeah.
so how have you been able to like deal with that? Because you're getting it, every which way but loose, from your own experiences, and then what other people, as they re-traumatize you essentially.
I pray for God to let me dissociate from the comments that are thrown at me, like an armor of God between me and the hate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now without God, I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't be able to talk, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, whenever I came out about my story, what made me come to YouTube and start YouTube was, I had posted in one of the Facebook groups, and they all would delete me and block me from the groups for posting about him.
Wow.
And
Now, now, I'm sorry. Do you come out and do you say this is the guy who took Summer, or did you just come out and say, look, this is a person of interest living close, and this is what he did to me? You did that, and then they kicked you out. Like, how did
yes,
this?
whenever I talked, because his niece was in those groups, and she was, she would come on and attack, and not only me, but Frank's ex-wife. She would attack her too, and things would get deleted, and then I would get blocked
Yeah.
because, I don't know how to describe it, but it was okay. But then one day someone sent me a screenshot of one of those groups where they were saying that I was Don Wells, accusing
Yes.
me of being Don Wells, and that I was throwing Frank under the bus to, distract, I
Right.
guess. And
Hmm.
that's when I finally, I just snapped, and I came to YouTube, and I said, this is my voice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be stepped on. I'm not going to be squashed out. People are going to hear me, because nobody that has been throwing hate on the family knows Beach Creek the way that locals around here know Beach Creek. And I noticed that it wasn't only happening to me, it was happening to other locals that absolutely got torn apart. Like the Mr. Phillips put on there that the search dogs had found a child's footprint on his property, and that they hit on it for summer scent.
Oh, now who's Mr.
And
Phillips?
he is a neighbor in the community that lives on Beach Creek Road.
Okay.
And they found a footprint on the back side of his property behind a little ridge, and the police went to him and talked to him and collected shoes from him, one shoe each for each of his kids, and took
Hmm.
them back and sized them up with the bare footprint, and the footprint was not any of the sizes of his children's feet.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot smaller, and the dogs hit on it. But the problem was a lot of searchers had already went through there, so there was a lot of adult feet print already. And then the dog went and found that one footprint, but that one footprint was in the middle of all of the other searchers' feet prints. If that makes
Wow.
sense. If I described it right. And they found the second child's footprint about 300 yards away from that one.
Was it the same size footprint?
Yes, the dogs hit
Oh,
on it. The dogs hit on it for summer scent, and the I guess the sheriff's department, they called it physical evidence because the dogs hit on those footsteps.
and they did report that in all their reports that in her description, they say she may be barefoot. I bet that's where they got that maybe.
Yes,
Do
Is
you
Bless
mind?
this mess another local or? See,
I believe so. Yes, I
I'm so
think
new to this
so.
community, so
I've only learned about Bless This Mess here the last few days. I did not know that she was like local.
okay. See, one thing I know you're about to say something, Piper. I'm just hopping in really fast.
No,
One
go for
thing
it.
like about I know everybody knows about the leaked recording of the chase and the theory of Summer still being alive or whatever. And I wrote that off so quickly because of, it was recorded without in a sleazy way, so I didn't give merit to it. But the truth is, I've heard that locals actually talk, and locals might think this, locals might think that. So you being a local, I'm really interested to see what theories the locals have, even if they're not your own. I guess if you would, you know.
The locals are the ones that I speak to, unless they're lying to me, they are 100% in support of Don and Candace, but they're afraid to come out and talk. I have talked to 9 other victims of Frank's as well, and they're scared to come forward like I have because, they've got little ones in their family, and they've got grandparents and stuff that live over in Beach Creek, and just they're too scared. But the ones that are in support of Don and Candace, they're scared to speak out because they see the hate that I'm getting. They see the hate that the other locals that have spoke out
Mhm.
have
Jodie
gotten.
Sue's getting a lot of hate.
Mm, have you seen the videos that I found of Jodie Sue before Summer went missing?
Yes, I did.
I didn't see him, but I got to say, I just she definitely doesn't look well to be on camera doing this. So that's all I can say. I think she's I don't know, her getting hate. I don't know. I'd probably agree with that though because she seems like she might be a good person who doesn't know exactly what she's doing or getting into. But I
She
don't
said
know.
some, yeah, she said some pretty terrible things. Um, Something about if the kids put one toe on her property. What
She
was
would
that?
throw him off a cliff.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, never heard. See,
She
I'm too new. Yeah, I don't know about this.
she made the statement, and while she was making this statement, she used her hands in like a choking motion, like, you know she said if a neighbor's child was too loud or screaming or crying, that she could not take that GD stuff and everything, and she made
Yeah.
them and said that she would shake the child till it was dead.
Ugh.
On another video, she said that talking about her health problems and everything, and if she had a baby now, and if something was wrong with it, she would smother her own baby with a pillow. She
Oh,
talked about hate, the hate that she had for the neighbors that moved here from out of town just because they inherited property and now they're trying to sell it off. She said someone in Beach Creek was fixing to die.
yeah, there's a lot of territorial stuff in those hollers with
And
land.
these videos that I put up, there I have more videos, but I had already put these up because Jodie Sue had started saying, trashing me and putting out lies on me. And I told her, I was like, don't force me to defend myself.
Yeah.
And she kept on and she didn't stop. And I got death threats on because of her. And, I had not done anything at this point. And when I got the death threats, I was like, all right, I'm going to put these out here before somebody kills me.
I remember when you put those out, and yeah, who were the death threats from?
Uh, I think they were from her, honestly. I think they came to my Gmail,
Uh-huh.
and I honestly think that they came from her.
Wow. That is really strange. I've not really formed an opinion on her because sometimes it seems she's really sincere and and other times it seems like maybe she
Yeah.
changes. She's not consistent. Let's just put it that way.
Well, when
You know.
Don was on one of the last lives that Don was on, he mentioned that Jodie Sue and her ex Andy did sell drugs up there, and those were the drug dealers that were on Ben Hill Road.
Well, we know that for sure because she got arrested for it, and they had there's the arrest record says like something about a drug habitation.
A habitat, a
Yeah,
drug habitat, where
like a drug house, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that they were caught with over 10 pounds and under 70 or something like that.
I was gonna ask, is this story allegedly just regular run of the mill get some drugs, or is this going into that hillbilly mafia thing? Because you came in a little bit later when we talked about
I
that.
I don't know anything about. Today was the first day that I heard of the Cornbread Mafia as far as the summer case goes. I remember like back in, I think it may have been the early 90s. I think I was still in high school, so it would have been late 80s. Uh, there was somebody that was renting from a relative of mine, and they came in and they arrested him because he was like a part of the Cornbread Mafia. And
Yeah.
he had moved to that town that I was living in and rented off of a relative of mine, and they, found him and came in and arrested him.
What do you think of Ronnie Lawson? Somebody asked in the chat, Kelly S.
I've only lived in Churchill, so I can't really, as that's the closest that I've been to Ronnie Lawson being sheriff, and I think he became sheriff after I lived there in Churchill
Oh,
many, many, many
okay.
years back. And I do know
Yeah.
that whenever he became sheriff, whenever he first became sheriff, that's when like the 2013 Hawkins County drug kingpin roundup happened. And a lot of roundups started happening. Not enough. I mean, there's still
Right.
drugs out there and everything.
Right.
And I think, when he had the one interview and he was asked about like the drug dealings and stuff going on in Beach Creek, he kind of said it with a smirk that they were no longer there at this point. And then when
Oh,
asked
I
about the
remember that.
scream, and when then asked about the scream, he did that same smirk and
Yep.
said that it was unfounded.
Yep.
Um,
Okay, so really quick, we're still talking about light.
we're
No,
talking
now,
about Ronnie Lawson,
Okay,
and
so Ronnie, so And when he's saying this about the scream, was he saying this to Jody or to somebody else
He
or?
was saying
The
it to the
press.
media. He was saying
Yeah.
it to, I think it was WVLT. I might be wrong.
Okay.
WJHL maybe?
So
I think it was
remember
actually
me.
WVLT because
Oh, okay.
I
Can
think
you guys
WJHL is scared to ask her any questions.
do you guys mind giving us a quick breakdown? Because as far as I know, Jodie Sue, my opinion or what I picked up is that the truck that was reported, she didn't initially, but she did say that she saw it, and then she said she heard a scream. Can you give us a rundown on what she alleges that she
Sh-
saw? Or
She alleges that she saw a red vehicle. She did not give a description of the type, the make or the model, but she said that it was a red vehicle and it was not like the candy apple red of the Subaru. She said this one was like one that had kind of older, maybe it was a maroon or had lost its clear coat.
Yeah.
okay.
And
And I've
She
seen
said
a
the
couple of
tire.
videos because one she said there was even like a ladder rack without a ladder on it, right? Or
she
no?
said that she had seen that on occasions before Shimmer went missing.
Oh, okay, yeah, the days leading up, right? Okay.
Yes.
That vehicle that day she saw on June 15th, she also said she made specific mention of the tires not catching like the Wells vehicles do when they go up the hill.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
with the driveway, I've been there to the property. I've been to Candace and Don's and I visit with them. I took them some flooring that we had that I was wanting to do a table with the laminate wood. I took that to them. I took them some paint that we had that, we didn't need. Um,
Unreal was
I
wondering if.
took some scrapbooking stuff. I printed off over 300 pictures for her and bought her a scrapbooking kit because I
Oh,
thought that was going to be a healthy hobby.
right.
And then Jenna came out and absolutely degraded her for smiling, getting lost in the memories of those pictures. And I was
Mm,
sitting there with her that day that she was doing the scrapbooking, and Jenna was on the phone with her. And before Jenna called and after Jenna hung up, Candace was showing me each and every picture. She was going through them and she was telling me a story about each and every one of them. They
yeah.
are her memories. And
Hmm.
she was decorating the scrapbook, and I just wish that people could see the look in her face, the look in her eyes, and Dawn's both. That was the same visit that Dawn called her from work, and he did not know that I was there at the time. And she was like, "Oh, that's my husband." And she reached down and touched her phone, and she was like, "Hey, baby." And he was like, "Baby, I can't do this anymore." He goes, "I can't find our daughter. I can't find Summer while I'm stuck here at work."
Oh,
He's like, "I can't do this anymore. I can't look for Summer." And she grabbed the
Mm.
phone, and her face went distorted like it did in Dr. Phil's. Her face went into that shape, and she grabbed the phone and ran outside. And
wow.
it's just until you sit down with them face to face, because these cameras
Yeah.
don't do justice until you sit there face to face,
Well,
and
yeah.
it's you get a better.
And the other thing is, it seems like those are more genuine experiences like that you witnessed, Squall. And the camera, all the streaming and stuff seems to catch them at night. It's late.
Yes, and
And
Don's at work for 10 hours a day, and he's there by himself, because he works by himself, unless she goes to work with him now, because he just can't find anybody that's not strung out and won't steal to work with him.
right.
And he's there with his thoughts all day long, and
Yeah.
he can't, spend all day talking to authorities and
Hmm.
detectives. And when he comes home, he's been at work all day with just him and his thoughts.
Right.
And he comes home and he needs somebody to talk to.
Yeah. To
And
vent.
yes, and
Hmm.
he's not going to stop talking until he finds Summer, until Summer comes home. He's just not going to. He's looking for his daughter, and he said one day, he said to me, he was just like, if it's hell that I have to go through, it's hell I will go through to find Summer.
You
people
know,
just don't. People just it kills me because people just don't. I don't know.
I will say this, without Donald Wells, people wouldn't know who Summer is. They may
Amy,
call it they may call it the Dawn show, the Candace show, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, what's it done? It's it's made people start looking at the situation and
right,
looking at it from their own life experience and their own perspectives, which is great. And not everybody's going to agree, which is, unexpected. Um, but it's great because it kind of is crowdsourcing everybody's unique perspectives and maybe will result in finding Summer.
right.
And
Um,
I'm glad that he does.
I
I
just wish he
I
went
hate
to
to
the
see the
panels that
pain.
I just wish he went to the panels that would support him.
Right. That's the thing. And then it's hard because who do you trust?
So far, just about every friend Candace has made since Summer went missing. Not all of them. They've all turned around and stabbed her in the back
Yeah. Now,
and came
doesn't
out.
she has that friend Dale that goes and visits? Is that
Yes,
she still
she's
visits, right?
as far as I know. Yes, they're still on good terms.
That's good
And then she's
because
got
Candace needs support as well. Regard, okay, no matter what camp you're in, if you think the Wells know something, did something, don't know anything, had nothing, whatever camp you're in, at the end of the day, you have to still have empathy for the people that are involved. And, you can clearly see that Candace is struggling,
oh,
she's
absolutely.
sad, and Dawn is struggling
They're
too.
both they're both
And
they've been
yeah,
pushed. I mean, on top of the trauma of not knowing where Summer is and losing their voice, that was a dark place to begin with. But
right.
social media has just pushed them into this big, deep, dark pit.
you know, I really really like I like to think of myself as like an empathetic guy and really caring, but and as an alcoholic and an addict, when I have somebody maybe do something bad to me or just something I really don't like, I try to think, oh, well, maybe they're a sick person or they're like this or they can't stop. But like when I lost my wife and she was pregnant, it's like, oh my God,
Oh
it's
no.
almost like I didn't even need AA. Like I just quit drinking right away, like because I wanted my family back. Like, how is
Yeah.
it? Like I don't get when people are saying, I would be using too, I'd be drinking too, but they still have their boys. I just don't, I can't get my head around it why they would still be drinking or using, and that's on the opposite side of that, I guess. But
Well, they are only drinking now. I have seen papers where they've passed drug tests.
Oh, that's good.
They have been passing their drug tests, and I've seen that paperwork.
That's good. Yeah. And, if people have been drinking for a long time, I'm not giving excuses either. I mean, I'm not trying to enable, but if people have been drinking for a long time in large amounts, um, they a lot of times will need a detox program where they can be safe while they come off of, the
Well,
alcohol.
they
I don't
can't
know if
they
that's
they can't leave their property because every single day they've got people harassing them on their property.
And could you imagine the talk though, if they did go into a detox program, everybody would drag them.
Yeah,
It's like, you can't win for losing.
that's it exactly.
Yeah. What Do you mind? You meant we were talking about Frank Light earlier, but you mentioned his wife had come out, and I was kind of mentioning that earlier, but I didn't know the details of his like the charges that he got. Do you know what they were?
Um, I can get screenshots and put them in the Discord.
Oh, okay.
He had 10 court continuances. It was 50 to 100 charges of CP of the photos.
Okay. So
Uh,
10 charges. Did they happen to find any of like you wondered he had that tripod when you were there. Did they find anything with,
I
you
was
know?
told that the images were in that room. That the images. Now I've not talked to her. She's probably wants to cut my head off too. But his sister was actually the one that called the law on him because
Oh,
he became homeless. I think is what his ex-wife said, and he moved in with his sister, and his sister was doing his laundry and found two thumb drives. She thought that they were thumb drives with their mother's funeral pictures from the funeral and everything on them. So she took them to her computer. I don't know if it was like a laptop or desktop. She just took them to the computer and plugged them in. And I reckon she just freaked out. I'm sure I would have freaked out. I don't know,
yeah.
how she reacted. But she contacted her husband immediately, and her husband was the one that called the police. I've got a screenshot of the police report as well, or a
Wow.
picture of the police report.
Okay, really quick, I just want to try to address the questions as they come in. One of them was, is there any way we can straighten out any confusion with who turned Frank in? Someone says it was his sister, not his wife. Just throwing that out there if we can touch on it.
His sister and her husband called the police. The police responded, and while they were there at the house collecting the thumb drives, Frank walked in. When Frank walked in, they talked to him and asked him what are on these, and he hung his head down and said, "They're inappropriate."
Yeah.
And his wife didn't know. Now, these images, were they images he took himself
I have
or
I have been told that the images were from the bedroom that I had my experience with him in.
really?
Yes.
Now, and the wife didn't know this was going on?
She did not know what was going on until he got the charges.
Wow.
And she said that she had suspected, that he wasn't right in the head and that there were some issues, and that was why she had left.
Wow.
And
That's scary.
she actually had, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she left him before my incident with him.
Okay. So before, because your incident was in 2013.
Yes.
Okay. So it was
I
before
mean,
that.
I might be wrong on that, but I'm wanting to say that they had already split up just before the same year, just like right before I showed up.
Okay. All right.
Squall, so you don't have to say like where exactly you are, but are you in Hawkins County or like in a neighboring county or just wondering?
It takes me 25 to 30 minutes to get to their house.
Oh wow, yeah, so that's shorter than it takes me to even get across town here, so pretty damn
And
close.
if it was like bird's eye view, it would probably be 10 to 15 minutes drive, but
Mm. And Martin Smallwood in the chat makes, thinking, reading my mind. Been watching the Wells case from the beginning. Still have no idea what happened to Summer. Who's responsible? I was gonna ask you, other than this light, do you kind of roll with other theories or contribute to other theories or try to look outside the box, or in your heart and your mind, are you
yes.
pretty sure you like know what happened?
In the beginning, I was dead set on Frank, and then I learned about Jackie Dobbs, and that kind of eased my anxiety some.
Yeah.
And then people started reaching out to me about Jodie Sue, and I brought her up on my panel. I was the first YouTuber, I guess. I guess you could say I'm a YouTuber creator. I don't know what we're called, but I brought her up
Mhm.
and did an interview with her, and then she told me, she told me something about needing money because she had to get away from Voldemort, aka Andy.
Right.
And I told her, I'm not in this for monetization, and I've seen what have happened to others when they've raised money on YouTube, and I am not about
Mhm.
that. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to be responsible. I don't have the health or the time or the mentality to go through all that crap. And she was like, well, that's okay. I'll just go to where the numbers and the money is. And then I think it was like a day later, I asked her, I was like, well, a lot of people are wanting to talk to you and they have questions, and, will you come back up on my panel? She was like, no, that's okay. I'm about to go bigger.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
about to speak louder. And the very next day was when she was on her way to the safe house in Johnson City because they went and rescued her.
423 Chase.
Yes, that's the very next day after that was when all that happened. And
Okay.
I didn't even know none of that was going on. And I was like, well,
Wow.
what in the heck? What happened? And then all of a sudden she told me that the law was driving by, shining lights on her, spotlighting her, that they had followed her over there. And I was like, what do you mean? Like Hawkins County is like left Hawkins County and followed you to where they moved you? And she's like, yes. She's like, and they've told the law over here. She's like, it's not Hawkins County law. It's a law over here that's shining the lights on me because Hawkins County gave them the heads up. She's like, they're all intertwined. And then 423 Chase, he came out about, whenever she started bad mouthing him, and he showed his receipt and everything about her, saying all that about the police following her and everything and all of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I started thinking, I was like, because she started shading hate to me after she went to them, and I hadn't done nothing to her.
Mhm.
And I started going back through her Facebook, and I was like, well, I'm going to go back to the beginning when Summer went missing, and I am going to watch every one of her videos. So instead of like scrolling down her page, I just clicked on videos and I scrolled all the way down, and I was like, oh my gosh, where did all these come from? Has she been this busy? And I clicked on one, and it was like in 2020.
Oh
So I
wow.
so I clicked out, and I mean, she had so many videos on there. I mean, I'm talking like what she does now. It was the year leading up to Summer's disappearance was equivalent to what she's done there the first month after Summer went missing, or
Wow.
you know
She she seems I don't mean this in a judgy way. She seems very paranoid. Like I've watched several of her videos, and one of them she was at a store, she saw a truck, and then she thought the police were following her, and then they weren't, and it was really strange.
yeah, that's what got me curious, and to go back and watch her videos, and I was only planning to go like to the day that Summer turned up missing and start from
Uh-huh.
there and watch them all again. And I clicked on a couple, and I'm just like sitting there, and it's like I had to get my headphones and put them on and like just turn the fan off, the heat pump off, and just listen because could not believe what I was hearing.
Right.
I was sitting here like, she's talking about Dawn and Candace hating them
Well,
because
now
Dawn.
she's talking about it again because then she seemed to kind of support them. And then now she's gone back to, at least in the last video I saw, kind of throwing them under the bus.
Yes, yes. Candace told me before Summer went missing that Jodie Sue has only been inside her house one time, and that was when Summer was born, and she's got a picture of her holding Summer. She said, other than that, whenever they came over, Jodie Sue never got out of the car, ever.
It seems to me, and I could be wrong, that some what do you say it? some YouTubers or some panels might let Jodie Sue on more than others, or they might endorse her more than others. And some of those channels are very not, they're against the parents. Maybe she's building a relationship with these other creators and just kind of listening to them a lot, maybe.
Maybe.
I, I think that has a lot to do with it. And um, I know in the videos before Summer went missing, I've been in a violent relationship, bad toxic relationship before, and I don't know any man that would sit in a car as quiet as he was while she rambled on and on and on.
That always amazes me that it always
For
comes to a shock. It comes as a shock to me when all of a sudden I realize there's somebody in the car with her. She'll refer to somebody. She's been going on and on for, a really long time and you don't hear anything. Then all of a sudden she'll refer to somebody in the vehicle and it's like, oh my goodness, there's somebody in there.
her kids and her ex at the time, it wasn't her husband. She was never married to him.
Oh, she wasn't.
And
Okay.
the property doesn't even belong to him or her. It belongs to his parents.
Okay.
And it just the DV didn't add up. So it that was kind of shocking to me. And then the energy that she would put into hating the neighbors
Yeah.
in those videos, I found very disturbing. And she kept on, and then finally, I defended myself by putting out the one video, and then she kept on, so I released 5 more, and I had already sent them to TBI. Then I got, they got in touch with me and told me, well, don't release any more of them, please. And I was like, okay. And they said, go ahead and take your time and send every one of them. If you have to do it in multiple emails, or if you accidentally send, duplicates, just send us all of the drives. And I
Right.
did that. And so I can't put any more of them. I don't want to get in trouble with law
Yeah.
enforcement. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to put those on there. But
Mhm.
it the hate and everything that she has in her is for years.
Wow. She really was very, very serious about the land issue as well, I noticed. And
Hmm.
very confrontational with Dobbs.
She claims that she has health issues and she can't get out and do much mobility wise. But if you go to those 5 weeks before Summer went missing and watch those videos, she starts talking about how she got out there and surveyed Dobbs's land on that cliffside by herself, walked through it and stuck the flags down in the ground and everything. And it's just like, well,
Yeah.
wait a second. Whenever I started hearing that, I was like, wait a second. I thought you were hardly able to move,
Right. Right.
you know, like
And
how,
another thing was when, I don't know all the goings on behind the scenes with other creators and all that. So I'm speaking probably out of ignorance here. So excuse me in advance. But I thought saw where 423 Chase had helped her out and gotten her to a safe location. But then she started on one of her videos saying like Chase had people spying on her and stuff. But my
like,
understanding was Chase had people like kind of watching. She had asked them to watch her car or something.
well, if you watch last night's video, like everybody that she has come in contact with since Summer's disappearance, she has started hating on them and thrown them under the bus. Every single person.
Huh. Wonder what
Uh,
that's all about. Does she just want to, I don't know. I don't want to accuse her of anything. That's so weird.
she says in one breath people are trying to shut her up, and then in another breath she's saying that us creators, all the creators that brought her on our panel, forced her to do it. And I've got screenshots, people reaching out to me. And then whenever I messaged her, finally, she was like, yes, can you put the word out tonight so we'll have a bigger audience?
Oh, goodness.
So she was wanting it. I mean, she was wanting it. Nobody forced her to do anything. And she went to the, I don't get along with the other panels. She went on because of my stance
Mm-hmm.
and my opinion that the parents are innocent,
Mm-hmm.
but she sought them out purposely and intentionally to go onto that panel when she found out that the fundraiser because it was the night they started the fundraiser, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that got really huge, didn't it? I don't
Yeah,
think they meant for it to get that big. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
people are still
interesting.
doing videos every day about fundraisers and stuff instead of summer.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Any
that whole
what
situation.
I know we kind of got a lot of good info in there about Jodie. I just really wanted to get back to the Dr. Phil episode today onto the pretty much like you know how the Jerry Springer at the end he has his final thought. I kind of felt like the final thought of this show was that there was deception from both of them. What do you guys think? If the parents are innocent, they could be deceptive. Do you think they're atypical, like some people are saying, and that they just have weird behavior, or maybe just get your guys' opinions on what you think?
because I've met them and I've been up close to them and not been in the interrogation seat with them, if that makes any sense, because I don't ask them questions. I don't, you know, and I just see their, I guess what you would call their baseline.
Right.
I feel that if that atypical means, just their personality and their baseline is odd all the way through, I think that's what it is. I feel like Candace does dissociate because as a mother, what would you want to think, is your child never going to put her arms around your neck again? Or if she is out there and alive, what's happening? What do you want to believe as a mother? And after this amount of time, she doesn't want to think about one or the other.
Right.
And it tears, and when she does, I have noticed, whenever I have been close to her, whenever that does come over her, she shows lots of emotion. I mean, she does cry and she slings the snot and she cries hard.
Yeah. Well,
And
we have seen that. I
um
think people have a problem with, I mean, to answer Graz's question, from my viewpoint, is I flip flop. To be honest, I go back and forth all the time. One minute I think, well, that's really strange. They must have something to do with it. And then the other minute I think, well, I don't know, you know? So I haven't really formed a hard opinion. I'm just staying open to everything because I don't know. I'm not in the situation like Squall is. You definitely have better insight.
they've got people, Candace has people whispering in her ear that, you know, well, did Don do this? Did Don do that? Did Don do this? And then Don has people whispering in his ear, well, Candace did this and Candace did that and Candace did this. And they're both being told, you better flip on them now and save your own hide, And so
Hmm.
that's not making it easier for them, for people to be
Right.
whispering in their, each other's ears that each other's guilty. And they believe in each other. They honestly do believe and have faith in each other, but just with that constant whispering in their ear, when somebody comes out and says, and they would expect that interrogation answer, do you think Candace, was involved, like with the doctor, with the behavior panel, I meant. They
Hmm.
felt that there was slight deception. I don't think it was so much deception as all of those whispers flooded his head while he was answering that. Does that make sense?
Well, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because subconsciously, you can't control the thoughts that come up, you know. So all those questions that people have essentially planted there is kind of what was running through his head when he was
And
answering.
they've not been just questions. They've been straight out accusations and
Yeah.
convictions. I mean, a lot of people have already convicted them, you know.
Yeah. I know at
So
one point I really thought Candace knew at least maybe what had happened or knew that something happened, but I just go back and I just don't know.
with her response today, I think, the same thing happened with her. When they asked her, do you know who took Summer? Or do you know what happened to Summer? Can't remember exactly how that question was asked. And she paused and closed her eyes and everything, because she sits at home and she works with the um, private investigators, and she works with all of the other people that are doing the business type dealings with Summer's investigation, trying to find her. And she's hearing these questions like, well, do you think so and so could be involved? Do you have any information on this? Like, whenever she watched the Jodie Sue tapes, she called me and she said, what in the
Yeah.
is this shit?
Yeah.
Because, and that was the moment that she told me that Jodie Sue never got out of the car, never called her. Jodie Sue never babysat. Um, she said that she did take pictures for Jodie Sue one time, but Jodie Sue was inebriated and she had fallen. It was not abuse, but um, on that particular instance with the photos that she
Right.
put out, she said that after Summer went missing, a few days after Summer went missing, it took Jodie Sue 4 days. Everybody talks about, Jackie Dobbs not posting a picture of Summer. It took
Yeah.
Jodie Sue 4 days to post a picture of Summer on her Facebook.
And she was there.
And she was there.
I would have
And
been posting that night probably just, if my neighbor's child was missing.
yes, that's what I'm thinking. I would post 20 pictures and I would tag every single friend in my friend
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
I would tag everybody, whether they liked it or not. They can untag themselves after I tag them, but towards the end, I'm going to tag them.
That's an interesting point, Squall. I hadn't really thought of that.
And after Summer went missing, Jodie Sue started calling her every day. And Candace, when she started thinking about it, she's like, well, she's always asking me who comes up here all the time. And she was also, Jodie Sue was also doing that in regards to find out things about Andy, whether Andy had been there. If you listen to
Oh.
if you listen to Jodie Sue's video last night, Jodie Sue says on there that she's got eyes on that holler and she knows everybody that comes in and out of Candace's.
Yeah, she even mentioned a trail cam. And what was she talking about? Dawn walking around at night? What was she talking about?
I think she is making that up, personally. She is trying to say that Dawn would come over and peep in her windows at night.
Well,
And
that's what I thought she was saying. But she was saying it in such a roundabout way. I wasn't certain.
yeah, and she said that the kids would come over in the middle of the night and steal food.
And
Well, I
she'd
can
act like
tell,
she was asleep and let them steal food.
right. But she was
So
so
weird.
hyper vigilant at the same
Right.
time. But I have seen probably 2,000 photos sitting there at the table with Candace, and they don't have like a pantry. They don't have cabinets in their home. They've got metal racks like you would see in a garage with tools and stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they use as their cabinet for food and everything. And every picture I saw, I mean, they've got more food in their house in those pictures than I've ever had in mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. And she's acting like they're starving.
Yes, and so many of those
Well, they're
pictures.
probably like my kids. She probably had all kinds of snacks over there, and I don't buy that crap. So my kids never want to eat what I have in the house.
Oh man, guys, see, I agree that even if there's some things that like social media and ethics and journalism and even people like Fox and NBC, I don't think you should be able to treat people like that if they're a suspect or whatever. But on the same
Yeah.
token, I do see that these things have to be investigated and everything looked into. And AJ has a good point about the Cleo Smith case in Australia being a good example, and not just of
Yeah.
being wrongly convicted, but there's other examples like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of missing children cases
There
examples that
are.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
they've had all those stings recently in Eastern Tennessee with child uh, predators, I'll just say, soliciting minors. I don't know if
Um,
you can say,
those
but
stings have been going on for a long time.
yeah, I
They're
saw they've been,
nothing new.
I saw that they've been, it was like a 12-month program that they had done, and they busted a lot of people, but it's just strange. It's really strange. There's so much of that in that area.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's in every area though. It really is. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'd like to. I think I'm gonna get out of here pretty soon here. I wanted to ask you guys maybe a couple of questions, maybe just talk a little bit before we get out. Do you
Sure.
maybe have your own? I know you're just like me. I flip-flop, and that's what makes it hard about covering this case in particular,
Yeah.
but maybe you guys might have your own theories. You might be able to tell us what you might think. As far as whether you think you may know, exactly how it happened, or just general theories, or however you feel.
It as far That's a tough question, Graz. It puts you on the spot because you don't want to accuse anybody. So just keep in mind these are theories, of possibilities.
Yeah.
But the I think I have a couple on a list, and of course, one of them is that she was abducted. Um, and I don't know if it was by someone in the holler or if it was by somebody related to Don and or Candace and or grandma in some way. I have no idea. I can't speak to that, but of course, that's the obvious theory. The other theory is that there was an accident, the whole accident theory, that we've heard 1,000 times. And, they freaked out and didn't know what to do and didn't want to lose their other kids. And then I guess the third theory is that I hate to even say because it sounds so awful, but I, I just wonder if Candace knows something just because of the way she has behaved. And so I'm not certain if that's just how she behaves. And I know Squall has said that it is kind of her baseline, but I haven't seen for myself in context, so I can't say. So I have to still keep that as a possibility in my mind that, maybe she knows something. And I'm not saying she did anything, but knows something, or she wasn't watching as closely as she said, and more time passed that than what she's really saying, something like that, but um those are the theories that I kind of throw around. Also, the whole, is Don a confidential informant, and maybe somebody's trying to send him a message. Squall, did you happen to see that part when I talked about that?
The confidential informant?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Don has a federal Bureau of Prisons number that originates in Utah, but he doesn't have any federal prison stays that I saw. And so I just postulated, well, what if, he turned confidential informant and somebody is trying to get back at him and he's scared to say that that's the case, or maybe the police are making him not say it. I don't know. That's a
Right.
possibility. So I have so many theories, and I'm so afraid to offend anybody,
I
by saying them.
I thought that website thing was debunked as a hoax back then. It was like Chasing Truth debunked it, because at the very
Which
bottom of that page, I believe it was like, you've been had or something, or gotcha.
the which one?
The federal,
The Federal Bureau of Prisons?
yes.
Really?
If that's the same one, if that happened, if that was the one that came out right after the prank phone call to Mary.
No, this is legit, because there's like a whole bunch of addresses. Federal Bureau of Prisons, Washington, D.C., and it's a BOP.gov address.
Okay.
I'm
I would
looking
have
at it
to
right now on my screen.
I would have to see that website then, because I've never seen that one.
Here, I'll put the link in the chat so anybody can go back and look at it if they'd like. And you can look at it too. And what I did was just looked him up by name.
Okay.
There we go. All right. And I know Graz has to get out of here. Do you have what's your theory, Squall?
All I can say is that I feel in my heart that Candace and Dawn are 100% innocent. Um, when you ask, like, if somebody asks them, do you know what happened? They've got things that they cannot talk about. They're not allowed to talk about it.
That's what I'm sensing. That's kind of what I started gathering the other day. Also,
And
Dawn has an
because
Indiana tie that I found.
I don't know anything about that one either.
Yeah, it's on. I have a video on my page. I streamed a long stream, but it got copyright. It got taken down for a song, and so what I did was just restream the important parts that showed the documentation that I had found. Yeah, he had been arrested in Indiana in 2010. So there is an Indiana tie, if there's any merit to what 423 Chase says. But I know you say, in your heart, you feel.
And there are the potential suspects. I've got to be careful how I say this. There's a lot of potential suspects out there in Beach Creek that have been looked into that would have motives. There has also been one theory, because of the way that, Jodie Sue was screaming, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," when Candace
Yeah,
came out of her driveway, and saw Jodie Sue. Jodie Sue saw her. Jodie Sue was in the road right there at the bottom of the dog trail when Candace came out of her driveway, and Jodie Sue was screaming, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." You know
that
that
was that was one of my theories at one point, because it was so coincidental. She says she hears a scream at 4:42 or whatever it is, and then Andy calls her at 4:52, says he's going to be 30 minutes late getting home, and then he shows up just as the police show up.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that kind of what you're getting at, Squall?
I don't want to say that she did do it. Um, just
Yeah, of course.
there's been so many things cross my mind. After just watching those videos of her before Summer went missing. Her son is an adult. Her son is 19 years old.
Hmm.
You can't rule people. They have not ruled anybody out. That's what Ronnie Lawson has said, and TBI has said that they have not ruled anyone out. You know,
Yes.
I do know for a fact that their devices, they got their devices back, and you know, and if anything was on them, just from experience with the Joe Clyde Daniels case and the Evelyn Boswell, both of those are close to us and with Tennessee. And if they got one inkling of deception, they would have been arrested. And with Don going to jail for the DUI and then the violation of probation, we drove his truck home that night. Me and my man, we sped out there and met Grandma. She gave us the keys. Cause she had sped down to the truck, and we passed the cops on our way.
Okay,
And
so you and Grandma were the ones who, because they said they released it to family.
yeah, well, Grandma got there to the scene while the cops were still there and got the keys and guarded the truck. And then, when I was, because I watched it happen on Doug's channel, and so I
Oh,
started calling Candace immediately. And then she was on the phone with somebody. Then she called back, and I was like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "I need help." I was like, "What do you need?" And she was like, "Mom took off. I think she's at the truck. I don't know if she's made it down there yet or not. And we need somebody to drive it home." And I was like, "We're on our way," you know. And we
yeah.
went and got the truck, and we drove it home. And she had to run down the hill and jump in and drive it up the driveway because I was spinning the rubber off the tires trying to get up because it was piss pouring rain,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was all wet, and I couldn't get it up the driveway, his truck up the driveway. I was
It
like,
had been
well,
raining for like a week at that point too, because we
yeah,
got a bunch of rain too.
but
Yeah.
they would have, if they had of any inkling that they were guilty, that was their moment to keep him.
Yeah.
They've had a
They let
lot of
him out
moments.
so fast. And that's what another thing that makes me wonder if he's a CI and the
No, they gave him a hardship bond.
yeah.
Because
Yeah, but
he's the only income up there on the hill. He's pays child support. His daughter's missing, and
oh,
his wife is she's got lots of health issues. I'm not going to speak on any of them, but
yeah.
she does have a lot of health issues. And so on the hardship, they let him go home. But if it was there would be no such thing as a hardship if there was a crime such as doing something with his daughter.
Right.
They would have wiped all the hardships off the board.
Right. Right. Yeah, so
Hmm.
you sound like me. So you just have so many possibilities running through your head that you probably change every day or it's like me.
The only thing that I have stuck on to 100% is that Don, especially since the day that I met them and talked to them face to face and sat here and cried with them. It's just you don't get a bad vibe. You don't get no creepy vibe. You don't. At least I don't. And
Yeah.
I can't see it. I see that they're hurting. I see that they listen to everybody. They look at every message. They answer every phone call because that might be the one that they need. So they
Right.
cannot not look at messages. They cannot not answer that phone. They can't, not do that.
I've tried messaging both of them and at the very beginning um, and then once again maybe a month ago. I didn't want to like really hound them or anything, but they never got back to me because I just wanted to
And
I just sent messages of support and,
I think Candace is worried about letting something slip that law enforcement has told her to keep private.
oh, yeah.
Because if it was to get out, then the potential suspect would be tipped off,
Yep. Yep.
and she knows more of those tips and stuff. She does not let Don know about them because
He talks so much.
he talks so much, yeah. And he
Hmm.
also, when he found out about me and my incident with Frank, he went to Frank's house, and they came out with guns and met him.
Oh, Lord.
So
Wow.
yeah, she has to be very careful what she says in front of him because he will.
Well, he's already said he'd kill somebody if he found out who it was. I mean,
He said that in the very beginning, and everybody started hating on him for it. So then he started talking about, well, we'll just let God handle it, and then he got smashed for that. No matter
right.
what he said, no matter what he says, he's going to be hated on.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it's a shame, really. It is. I was interested in, like, I was hoping what they would do with their channel is maybe just come on like once every couple days or, whatever, and just, hey, no updates, and, or, we've got this or that, or this is what we've done, or not them personally, but, this is what's going on. And, just like little updates so that they weren't
Right,
on people's panels. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. But, well, I really appreciate you sharing what you did, Squall,
Me
about your
too.
own. Yeah, that
Yeah.
it takes a lot to come out and tell a story so traumatic and
I,
personal.
I I do want to say that my suspicions of Frank have lowered
Well, he had
since.
an alibi, didn't he?
I do not know.
Oh, okay. I
I
thought
do not
Don
know.
I thought Don said at one point that he had an alibi that that Frank Light did, but I don't know. I'm
I don't
probably
know.
not remembering properly.
But I just know that, since I have been involved and I've heard of the other suspects that are closer, there's even one theory that I'll go ahead and say this, that maybe someone, because Jodie Sue and Andy were selling drugs and everything, maybe her daughter was supposed to have been the target and they went to the wrong house and got Summer instead.
Oh, see, those are the kinds of things you don't think about if you have tunnel vision.
Hmm.
Exactly. We always keep it open. Yep. Keep it
Yeah.
nice and open.
But
And
that
then,
has
yeah.
been a theory, and with Jodie Sue screaming, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," it's like, well, what are you sorry about? It.
Yeah. Well, guys, this was a great show. I really enjoyed. It's been
Thank you
you
so
know,
much for inviting me up.
yeah, no problem.
Thank
I
you, Graz, for having me.
no problem. You're a great co-host and Squall. I hope you have a good luck with your surgery and maybe you can come back on soon because it was nice to talk to you and hear your information. And thanks for sharing it with us.
No problem whatsoever. And I'm going to try to be a little bit more active. I can drop the Jodie Sue tapes in your Discord. I think I did, maybe, but I didn't put them on the Summer Wells one.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Yep. We'll get more active and talking there. Alrighty.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm in there too, Squall. My name's Piper.
Okay, nice to meet you all. Thank you
Nice
for
to
Perfect.
meet
having
you.
me up.
All
Thank
right.
you
Yep.
for coming up, but no notice or anything. Thank you so much. And thank you, Graz, for having us. We kind of took over your your life.
No, it was good for me. I could sit back and try to listen. It was good.
You
So
get two ladies chit-chatting and you never know.
yeah, I'm a lucky guy. I'm a
Never
lucky
get a
dude.
word in edgewise.
Alrighty. Well, I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you again. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you
Bye,
so much.
Squall.
Bye bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for coming and watching. And this was a stream over on Real Chill Graz. For some reason, the information I put in the description did not flow over from Restream. So after this video is uploaded and processed by YouTube, which has taken over a day for other videos, hopefully this won't take that long, but once it's processed through YouTube and it allows me to update the description, I will. And I'll put in the link to the original video that I streamed, and also a link to Graz's channel and to Squall's channel. I appreciate everybody chatting in the live chat. People had lots of great things to say, and every opinion is welcome here as long as it's respectful. I think it's important to keep an open mind and consider other people's opinions. There have been times when I've just immediately, discarded someone's opinion, and then later on thought about it and thought, they could have been right. So it's always good to keep an open mind. And let me see some of the chat. Autumn Moon says, glad to come across your platform, CSI. Good voice and articulate. More importantly, no drama or negativity. We try to keep the negativity and drama to a minimum. Thank you, Autumn Moon. Pretty Sweet Pea. Back to say bye, Piper. Skinniest tree so I could choose the least ugly. Oh, that's so funny. All right, you guys. Thanks again for coming. And I will be back with more videos and more discussion on the Summer Wells case. I try not to overdo it with the case only because we don't have a lot of new information, and sometimes it's not productive or it's not good, I should say, for me to only focus on one case because I get tunnel vision. So I do try to still keep other cases in on my channel as well, and keep other missing people and people's world so that they see them, they know about the cases, and could maybe help out. There was a case on a young girl, Aaliyah Scheibel, who went missing out of North Vegas, and I had done a video or two, I think maybe, on her, and she was recently found after, I think, 8 or 9 months of being gone. So that was great news. I did put a short video up of that, and YouTube took the music out, said it was copyright stricken, even though I just used generic Microsoft music. So who knows? It was a little frustrating, but it's there. And if you want to take a look at it, Country, hey, it's about time you get on here. I know, now I'm getting ready to get off. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, thanks again for coming, and I'll see you all real soon. I love y'all, and remember to love each other and love yourselves.